So. Silence is golden. There's our chair.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
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 Is it raining where you are? We had like 2-3 minute storms, and now it's not raining, but I think it will again.
I think it's nice and sunny where I'm at least.
Really?
Thundering in Columbia.
I think there's supposed to be storms later, big ones. I'm in Frederick.
Ainsley, shall we get started since it's 1 o'clock? I'm not sure if we need more people or we could just get started.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I don't know if should we do introductions since Zakia's on and might not be familiar with everyone. Want to do that? Let's do that quick. Okay. And I can get started. Zakia knows me. Hi, Zakia. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, but I've lost you all's faces. I'm not familiar
Oh,
with Google
the
Meets.
agenda just on the screen?
I have a black screen actually.
Oh,
Let me refresh.
okay. The agenda's down, so I see everybody.
I see everyone now.
Okay.
Andrea, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Great. So let's just do a quick round of introductions since Zakia's joining us today. I'll start. I think everyone knows me. Andrea Cantora. I'm chairing this subgroup, and I'm from the University of Baltimore, and I direct our Second Chance program at Jessup Correctional. And I'll pass it to Judy.
I'm Judy Lichtenberg. I work with Major and prepare and teach for the University of Baltimore in the Second Chance program. I teach philosophy, which is what I did until I retired from my day job at Georgetown 5 years ago. And I'll pass it to Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Karen Esterick. This coming month, I will have been home from MCIW for 10 years, where I was a student in their Goucher Prison Education Program. I am finishing my degree, and I'm just happy to be here on the commission and on this group. And I will pass it to John.
Good morning. Nice to meet you, Zakia. My name is John Feaster. I'm with the Maryland Department of Labor, Division of Workforce Development and Adult Learning, and I oversee correctional education and the Office of Workforce Development here within Labor. And I will pass it to Rochelle. I will pass it to Danielle.
Danielle Cox, Director of Education for DPSCS. I oversee education in our prisons and direct oversight of all post-secondary education programs, so all of our college programs in the prisons.
And passing it to who, Danielle?
Meredith.
Oh no, Meredith, we can't hear you, and it doesn't look like you're on mute, so I'm not sure why. We got to select somebody else, Danielle.
She is on mute, it looks like.
Who hasn't gone? Did you figure out, Meredith?
Steve hasn't gone.
Okay, Steve.
Steve is important. You all are.
We all are. I'm Steve Stewart. I'm chair of the commission and formerly an employee of the Maryland Department of Education, was academic coordinator for correctional ed, and also was the head of our National Teachers Association, Correctional Education Association, for many years. But by the way, we had some acronyms. I'm not sure everybody understands prepare and major. So if you don't, major is Maryland Alliance for Justice Reform, which is a prison advocacy group, a correct criminal justice advocacy group. Prepare is, I can't explain it in very precise detail, except to do all kinds of fantastic reentry work with
Prepare for Parole and Reentry is its full name, I think. Yeah, so it helps people.
So they do a lot of terrific reentry work. I don't know if Anna's on. She's or
Not
so
at the moment.
okay. And I'll introduce Cheryl Steen.
Yes, I'm Charlotte Steen Fairley, CEO of Anne Arundel County Community Action Agency. And I have been, I think this is my third visit as a guest. I'm interested. I had many years of experience in higher education prior to becoming the CEO of Community Action Agency. So, and of course, we have a diversion and reentry program, and I have interest in this particular work groups. So I've come as a guest from time to time.
Welcome.
Meredith introduced herself in the chat. If you want to take a look there, I think Zakia and Meredith know each other. Ramika, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. My name is Ramika Robinson. I am with the GPEP, the Goucher Prison Education Program. I am currently the Director of Continuing Education and Professional Advancement for our group with Goucher College, led by our Executive Director, Ann Duncan, and I am also formerly incarcerated, coming up on almost 10 years. Congratulations, Karen. And I have been doing work both in my capacity as a director of continuing ed, but also in my personal life. I help advocate and lead these initiatives around successful reentry and what that looks like, and building partnerships with our community partners, healthy, positive relationships with our community partners to ensure that our missions not only align, but that we're moving that work forward. So thank you for having me and allowing me to contribute to this space.
You want to introduce somebody?
I do. I will say Jamel Freeman.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, hello, everyone. My name is Jamel Freeman, recent graduate from UNB, social worker, macro level, formerly incarcerated individual, and part of the commission in the Maryland Justice Equitable through the collaborator of the Attorney General's office. Nice to meet everyone. Am I calling on someone or?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just a little discombobulated. Today's my birthday, so it's just been.
Happy birthday.
Appreciate that. Family coming in and out, and I'm just like, look, I got to get on this call. Y'all leave me alone. I will call Karen.
I've gone, but I will call Christian if I can pass.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Christian Gant. I'm an Assistant Attorney General with the Maryland Office of Attorney General. Also one of the co-leads for the Maryland Equitable Justice Collaborative. Happy to be here. And happy birthday, Jamel. I will call on, so I might have got it wrong. Zakia, was Zakia called? Zakia, were you called on?
I was not.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
Andrea, is it okay to go now, or do you want me to go last?
Yeah.
No, I'm calling on you, Zakia. I'm not passing you.
I can take directions. Hi, everyone. I'm Zakia Lee, Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs at the University System of Maryland office. And I have lost track because I've been taking notes about all the wonderful things you all do. So I'm sorry. Anisha, maybe?
Hi, my name's Anisha Latal. I'm with the Office of the Public Defender in the Post-Conviction Division. It's nice to see everybody. Thanks.
I think everybody went, unless I'm wrong. Whoever did not go, please speak up.
Danielle, I don't think
I
went.
think Danielle went.
She did?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I think we should get started. Ainsley put together an agenda. Thank you, Ainsley. She keeps us grounded. Ainsley didn't introduce herself, so Ainsley, introduce yourself.
I'm Ainsley. I'm the Policy Legislative Manager for Governor's Office of Crime Prevention and Policy, and I staff this commission. And Emily, who just joined us, if I'm putting you on the spot, if you want to just give us a quick introduction.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Hines. I am an assistant teaching professor at Georgetown's Prisons and Justice Initiative, and I'm also the associate director of the BLA Bachelor of Liberal Arts program at Patuxent Institution in Jessup.
Awesome. Thank you. So Ainsley's agenda. Thank you, Ainsley. We have Zakia here who just introduced herself, and we invited you, Zakia, because we want to learn more about what USM is doing, especially as it pertains to, creating a statewide coalition for higher ed and prison. That's something this group has been talking about. It's something we want to recommend to the governor in our November report. But so we've been doing a little bit of research, and Jamel is going to share some of that research after you give us an update, Zakia. But we really want to learn what's happening around the country, around statewide coalitions for higher ed and prison. We want to understand what Maryland is doing, plans to do, and how we can support that effort or take charge or partner, whatever that might look like. We don't really know. So that's why we invited you here, Zakia, to just give us an update and share a little bit about what USM has been doing.
Sure. It's great to meet you all. I've been at the system in a number of different capacities for about 13 years now, but in this current role, Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs, it's been 2.5 or so. And right when I got this title, it was around, 2022 or so, when the Board of Regents for the USM institutions and system leadership expressed interest in, even more interest than before, in what was going on with prison education. We knew it through Andrea and the U-Vault team, who had been doing work for so many years. So we knew what was happening at Jessup, but began to explore, to learn more, and had members of the Board of Regents who were interested in figuring out how to, again, as Andrea said, kind of be partners, figure out how to expand, where could we fit in to help as a system of institutions. The work picked up a little bit in 2023 when my supervisor, Allison Wren, who is the Senior Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs, came on board. She was coming from the California State University system, where a lot of this work was already happening, and they had some great examples, and she had knowledge that we didn't have to kind of help direct some of the work that we were doing. So we started getting together and learning from people like Danielle and Andrea and our colleagues at Bowie State, and started with, kind of a working group to brainstorm, maybe do some of the things you all have done in some of your earlier meetings, to just learn, because we didn't know. And we've, kind of transitioned from that, or I should say, when that work first got started, one of our big initiatives, or the thing that we worked on first with Danielle and others, was establishing an MOU to help streamline some of the ways and parts of the process to get programs in the prisons. So that was a great partnership and very useful. And we're hoping that some of our institutions who are interested in creating programs will, benefit from that. Since that time, we have begun regular meetings of our prison education program directors. So Andrea, Charles from Bowie, and at Towson, where they are establishing the program. In addition to some of our institutions that are interested in this work, and again, just kind of need to be in the space to understand and learn and know the process, and make sure they are knowing what they need to know from the corrections side with Danielle and just how it works. So we, convene the program directors. We also have an advisory board that we've convened also, and that is more expansive because we know that there are so many folks out there who know more than we do. So it's still Andrea and Danielle and our program directors, but also our partners from Georgetown and Goucher who have done this work for so many years. Also, members of our Board of Regents, a couple of programs in the system that have more on the reentry side. So we're just trying to pull together the right people to understand what's going on. And I said earlier, I was taking notes feverishly because I'm hearing names of organizations and great work that you all are doing that, again, here to learn and that I'm not familiar with. So I'm pleased to be here and learn about that. Part of our continuing work at this point is to continue learning and figuring out who needs to be at the table. We want to establish a better working relationship with community colleges in this space. We think they're critical to the work. And we do a lot of work with them on the academic affairs side, and just understand their capacity is a little bit different than the four-year institutions, but we think that's a great place to continue kind of helping build and bring folks together is at the community college level. We've met with Delegate Ampry and continue to make whatever connections and conversations we can at the state level because we want to, we keep advocating for funding. Right now, there's no money. It's a two-person show at the system office right now with Allison and myself. And neither of us are content experts. So, we're looking for funding and trying to build our case for funding that would be sustainable. And in the meantime, we've been going out for grants. We're hoping that we can get some funding to build an infrastructure, get some staff, do some programming and work that will then prove the case for what we have done or can do at the system level when we get a state budget that may allow for some more funding, and hoping that we can build that into the system work in order to make it, again, more sustainable and long lasting. If we do secure funding at the grant level, hopefully soon, if things kind of come together, we push that money right back out into the programs and into the folks who are doing the work. We know that, sitting in our offices, whether we be in Baltimore or my offices in Adelphi near the University of Maryland, we're not the ones that are doing the work. The folks on the ground are doing the work. So we're trying to secure this funding and build this infrastructure to help the programs and to help those who want to create programs. And again, we have Towson, U-Ball, and Bowie that already have programs, but we have at least 2 or 3 universities that are interested. And we're hoping to give them the insight they need and information they need, connections they need to do that work. And in addition to the program, having programs in the prisons, we are looking for folks who are working on or thinking about the reentry side of things too, because we know that there's a lot of work that should be done there. And in addition to this work we're doing within the state, we've also started making connections with NASH, which is the National Association of Higher Education Systems. And they have some prison education work with a lot of leadership and experience coming from the SUNY system, the State University of New York system. So again, just another place we are locating ourselves or putting ourselves in that space to learn from and be a part of partnerships and connections that are being made. So we don't have all the answers. We have great partners. I hope I can, and Andrea's said to me before, come to this meeting. And now I'm like, you're right, I need to be here. So thank you for having me. You know, don't have the answers, great partners, great ideas, and are just working to figure out how to expand the capacity, stay connected, be connected to the right people, and help move this work along. So that's those are my comments. I saw Rose's hand, and anyone else happy to engage in a conversation or answer questions if I can.
Thank
Sorry,
you,
that was
Zakia.
Coop's hand.
Okay. Well, thank you, Zakia. Appreciate it. And you're welcome anytime. We meet.
Thank you.
We meet monthly, and this is open. Does anyone have questions or comments or anything to add? Judy has her hand up. Go ahead, Judy.
Rose had her hand up first.
She made a mistake. It should, I
Oh,
believe.
I just want to ask, you mentioned that there are two other universities or colleges, apart from the ones you mentioned, who are interested. Which are they?
In our meetings, we have Coppin State University coming to learn about what's happening, the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, and the University of Maryland Baltimore County. Very preliminary stages. I might not even should have said who they were, but those are the ones who are asking questions. They're asking the questions to try to figure out what's happening and how they can make it work at their institutions.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Go ahead, Steve.
I just need to mention, Coppin State had been involved 25 years ago and also UMBC had big programs before we lost Pell Grants, and Hagerstown, then junior college, now Hagerstown Community College, I guess, had a big program. I'm happy to hear about UMES because they had a relationship when Eastern Correctional Institution opened years ago on the Eastern Shore, but and we're going to lose Worcester,
right?
Warwick
and Warwick Tech, I should say, because they don't have enough funding. That's community college kind of situation. So, just bringing up just for our memory, those of you who have been involved in the years, that there's been a great presence. We had 1,000 post-secondary students just before we lost Pell Grants.
Wow.
1,000 have spread across the state when Pell Grants disappeared. We don't have any real state funding for tuition and never had. So. Oh, by the way, also one of the interesting fact found out this week in our visits, at JCI, we have more post-secondary students than we have literacy in high school and career tech students at JCI. We're well over 100 students there from what I heard. And so, I mean, that's amazing, but it's another piece of information we found.
Just for everyone's knowledge, Towson University they've been completely approved. They're at the Department of Ed level. So to come to MCTC, Hagerstown Community College is currently at our advisory committee level for approval of the welding and fabrication certification out in Hagerstown. They are at initial stages for the general studies program at MCIH. And possibly RCI, if we can just do it fully virtual, we'll have to see about that. In addition, Anne Arundel Community College, we are finalizing MOU with, and they are in the middle states. They will be going to Dorsey to run. So we have those two community colleges plus 5 universities.
Danielle, is the general studies for Hagerstown a degree program or a certificate?
Yeah, AA.
Great.
And Anne Arundel, is that also an AA program?
It's a certificate. That's a small business management certificate. Yeah.
Also, a piece of information for years, when there were no Pell Grants under Obama's administration, continued under the first Trump administration, were the experimental Pell Grant programs. And Maryland had 4 programs, I guess, Anne Arundel and Warwick Tech and escaping right now the others. But so we did have some programs starting, And then we got Pell Grants reinstated, ironically, under the Trump administration, the first iteration of Trump. So hopefully that will continue.
And Zakia, just let me know, because I know UMES, when I talked to them last year and told them about it, they just didn't have the funding and the availability to at that time. If they're ready, again, and just let them know, well, the process, that I'm that first contact of the approval process. Coffin too, I talked to them a bit ago, but I think they were still trying to figure out what program to establish. Because what they had wanted to do, I think we already had, so I kind of needed to push them in a different track.
Okay.
And then who was the other one you said? University of
UMBC.
Yeah. I haven't talked to them at all, so that's great. To hear that they're considering. So
yes, the rep there, the provost connected us with a rep who's just sat in on a couple of meetings so far. So she's really in the information gathering stages. But you're right. I send everybody to you first, Danielle.
But you mentioned reentry, and we used to have college students in reentry going before back in the 90s till we lost Pell Grants, and they were going to UMBC and taken there by vehicle in the morning, picked up in the evening. And it was a very, very large program, very successful program till the legislature decided to investigate and arrested everybody because they thought they were committing crimes. And in the end, there was nobody committing crimes. They were all in class. That ended the program. Just
wow.
Just glad to see UMS coming in now. Really appreciate it.
Ainsley, you have a question?
Yeah, Zakia, what are the meetings that are going on currently? And if people have any more questions, how can they contact you or get involved?
Sure, I will put my information in the chat. Ainsley and Steve, Andrea, have been to and are welcome at the advisory board meetings. I also mentioned, our Goucher and Georgetown colleagues. So we've seen Meredith at several meetings, Emily too. So we have those connections. I'm happy to, as I said, happy to come back here, be a part of this group to keep the connections going, in addition to those colleagues who, are in both places. But I'll put my information in the chat too, and you can get in touch with me.
I have a question, and this
Yes.
is Andrea and Zakia. In the next few months, we're going to be making recommendations in a report back to the legislature and the governor. And and we've got under Andrea's leadership, we've got a really good set of things we're talking about. And to the extent that we come up with a recommendation as a commission that UMS, and has, help endorse these things that we're going to put forward, or come if they ask for testimony, whatever, we really appreciate that kind of thing, because we're set up by the governor, but by law, but we want to ally with everybody who's working in this field and work as a unit as much as possible on joint goals and recommendations and things.
Absolutely. We are happy to support and work with you on that. I think, Andrea, even a few months ago, I didn't mention that we have a strategic plan that we developed through some work with a consulting firm, and that plan may have made its way back here, or can make its way back here, to share whatever insights would be useful for your report. But we're happy to support and be engaged, Steve.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Zakia. Yeah, and I believe that's in our Dropbox, Ainsley, that report. Yeah, that's been incredibly helpful, and we haven't really come up with anything different or new. There's a lot of overlap, and obviously we're seeing the same barriers and some solutions. So that's great. We'd love to have you back. You're welcome to stay. I think we are going to move on to our next agenda item.
Thank you. I will stay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about statewide initiatives. So I think that's great if you would stay. And is that the next item, Ainsley? I don't have the agenda in front of me. I think that was next.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jamel is going to do a presentation for us.
Great. And Jamel's been amazing. He's gone off and done some research on, a select number of states. There's there's other states that we didn't look into, but this is just a start to looking into other statewide efforts around this work. So Jamel, you can take it away whenever you're ready. On your birthday, we're making you present.
Yeah, the work doesn't stop. Is there any way I can get access to the screen?
So I believe if you go down to the bottom of your screen,
Okay, I can. Okay.
there's
All right, I
like
got
a
it.
microphone. Okay, got it. Cool.
Got it. Sorry about that, y'all. Just give me one. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me see how I'm gonna do this. All right. I didn't get to do it the really way I really wanted to, but just wanted to bring a little something different to you guys. All right. And thank you, Doc, for letting me partake in this with you as well.
Sure.
Expanded through collaborations with 14 SUNY.
All right. And y'all can hear it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Insight regarding effective college level.
All right.
Hello, everyone. I was given the opportunity to gather insight regarding effective college level programming within prisons pertaining to 6 topics: funding, technology, in-person class space, incentive, reentry support, and statewide coordination. We will explore in this 10-minute presentation about the comprehensive models and true statewide approaches involved to implement effective college-level programming within prisons and its impact on reentry and recidivism. Our first state is New York's model called SUNY HEP. SUNY was founded to align with SUNY's overarching aim of broadening educational access throughout New York. The Grants College in Prison Reentry Initiative, financed by the New York County District Attorney, Danny, under the State of New York's Criminal Justice Investment Initiative, CJI, has expanded through collaborations with 14 SUNY campuses. These campuses currently offer degrees in 23 state prisons and 1 federal institution. The initiative has seen increased growth in recent years, while focusing on a true statewide approach. Particularly, with the projected expansion to 22 campuses and 30 facilities during the 2024 to 2025 academic year. The Andrew W. Mellon Foundation's SUNY-funded initiative, Expanding College Opportunities for Incarcerated Persons, aims to set up a more cohesive, transparent, accessible, and educationally effective system of college in prison (CIP) programs within New York. This project will ease the development of individual programs within SUNY while simultaneously setting up statewide functions to enhance program performance. There is no evidence suggesting the enactment of legislation to formally set up SUNY HEP. Next, here we will talk about Pell and TAP grants reinstated for all incarcerated individuals. We all know that at the end of 2020, federal legislation was passed to restore Pell funding to all incarcerated individuals by the fall of 2023. Later, in April 2022, the New York State Legislature repealed the ban on the Tuition Assistance Program (TAP) for incarcerated New Yorkers. The return of public funding for prison education was a huge step forward in creating fair access to higher education, increasing opportunities for incarcerated individuals, and enabling SUNY to serve a greater number of incarcerated students in our communities. Funds are used for program development, student support services, research and data analysis, reentry navigation, alumni coordination, and expansion of degree programs across facilities. So, a question that you all may be asking is, so how does SUNY HEP use funds for these components listed? These grants are specifically used to support the infrastructure, coordination, and capacity building necessary to deliver and expand these programs. SUNY's presented an official press release announcing SUNY received a $3 million Ascendium philanthropic funds which was specifically allocated across 3 key areas: expanding and enhancing SUNY's community of practice. This involves providing technical assistance to campuses, launching new programs, coordinating with the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, and implementing faculty development and community engagement initiatives. Grants to Campuses, the Equity Fund. These funds are designed to help campuses increase student access and scale high-quality programming by addressing existing equity gaps. While these grants are instrumental in their current operations, as you indicated before, funding is not permanent. There is no current explicit confirmation of direct sustained funding for SUNY Office of Higher Education in Prison from the New York State budget. They have developed a comprehensive strategy for long-term sustainability. This plan involves expanding their community of practice, providing ongoing faculty development, and coordinating closely with the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision to address and reduce barriers for incarcerated students. Encouragement by the broader SUNY systems increased state investment in public higher education under Governor Kathy Hochul's administration, which could potentially pave the way for future state support for OHEP. A specific line item or legislative commitment to long-term funding for OHEP has not yet been publicly announced. Our next state we will explore Pennsylvania, PACHEP Pennsylvania Consortium for Higher Education in Prison. The Pennsylvania Consortium for Higher Education in Prison, PACHEP, is not a centralized governing body but a collaborative network composed of higher education institutions, nonprofit organizations, and community partners. Member institutions include Temple University, Villanova University, and Muhlenberg College, among others. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections also participates in this network, facilitating access and coordination within correctional facilities. PACHEP does not exercise academic oversight over degree-granting programs. Each participating college or university retains full responsibility for the accreditation, curriculum, and academic integrity of its offerings. PACHEP functions as a facilitator, providing logistical support, coordinating funding opportunities, and promoting best practices across institutions. It also administers subgrants to support program development and delivery. The consortium's core functions include infrastructure development for prison education programs, policy advocacy, particularly around access to state financial aid, resource sharing through a centralized library and technical assistance, and coordination of philanthropic and federal funding streams. These efforts collectively support the expansion and sustainability of higher education opportunities for incarcerated individuals across Pennsylvania. The next to last state that we will explore is the South Carolina Coalition for Higher Education in Prison, SHEP. The South Carolina Coalition for Higher Education in Prison, SHEP, was set up through a powerful collaborative initiative, not by legislative mandate. This grassroots partnership, deeply rooted in institutional commitment to educational equity, began to gain significant momentum between 2023 and 2025, propelled by substantial philanthropic support. The state of Tennessee is similar through its Higher Education Initiative. Tennessee's Higher Education Initiative, which is a nonprofit, facilitated, and led by them, laid the foundation for the Tennessee Prison College Coalition, TPCC. With post-secondary programs now operating in 11 facilities across the state and plans underway for continued expansion, TPCC can serve as a model for how state higher education systems can collaborate across agencies to deliver quality programs and prioritize student success. As we concluded this presentation, is a nonprofit approach an idea that could work in Maryland? Maryland could expand higher education opportunities within its prison system, drawing inspiration from the successful Tennessee Higher Education Initiative, THEI, and Maryland could partner with the Tennessee Department of Correction and South Carolina Coalition for Higher Education in Prison, SHEP, various colleges to provide degree programs in 11 correctional facilities. THEI offers essential wraparound services like re-entry planning, academic advising, and advocacy. This effective approach is sustained through philanthropic funding, institutional partnerships, and community engagement. Thank you, Dr. Cantora and the Commission, for allowing me to be of service.
All right, everyone, that is it. I hope you all, and if you would like this recording, I can share it as well. But any questions that you may have for me, Dr. Cantora, please let us know.
Great. Thank you, Jamel. Really appreciate it. And yes, if you could send that to Ainsley, we can add that to the Dropbox. A lot of information there, a lot to discuss. Steve has his hand up first.
Was that an AI voice?
Yes, it was.
Would there be any doubt about that?
I just want to make sure everybody understood that. I mean, it was.
Well, I mean, this is what we are in this age right now. So it's either we adapt and overcome and implement some of this into our practices. But I do have that experience and knowledge and skill underneath my belt. Yeah, I wanted to do a totally different animated presentation, but it's my birthday, so I'm not trying to work hard, man. And I just got finished with my 11th month master's degree, so I'm kind of like out of it right now. So, but again, this is very dear to me, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be able to share.
Well done. Happy birthday.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
I guess
Man, y'all.
I'm just curious, did you just ask AI to tell you about successful higher ed programs?
I thought somebody was going to come in here with some like research. Come on. No, Dr. Judith. No, I used ClipChamp. There's another one called Well Said. There's other AI narrations in which you can implement animation to as well. But I just populated the script and just had it to say what I wanted it to say. But all that research is done. I do have me and Dr. Andrea, we do have documentation, APA 7th edition resources, anime as well. So we will put that too as well. So we have the video and we have, the documentation for you all to review at your leisure.
Good.
Good, because we know that AI lies sometimes.
Oh, no, this ain't, no. It's credit.
All right. Ainsley, Christian, Zakia.
Yes, thank you, Jamel. And I know that this is all correct because, like you said, you had that APA cited format. So thank you for that. What, from your perspective in this research, what are some of the best practices or common themes that you saw across all of these different states in establishing their statewide consortiums?
Honestly, it was a lot of it. One thing was, none of it is mandated legislative. So a lot of them too, as far as like funding and grants and just the whole grassroots collaborations. I mean, boots to the ground, nonprofit partnership, university-led efforts, and a lot of philanthropists, individuals. They invested into this. Into these efforts and these community engagements. So I think, like I just said in the presentation, Maryland can, just far from what I've learned, and not being from Maryland and seeing, we all just getting together and actually coming up with a very strategic and effective plan to to be able to, talk about space, talk about, teacher training, supplies, just like the last institution that we went to the other day, where they were talking about, what was her, Dr. Blackwell, right? She was a teacher, right? And when she was talking about like space for the the incarcerated individuals. So
she's the principal, isn't she? At GD?
Yeah, she's the principal for labor. So that's for like the GED programs and stuff like that.
Go back to seeing everyone now that we've seen the presentation.
Did that answer your question, Ainsley?
Yes, thank you so much.
And if I could just add a little piece to that, Jamel, he also in his paper wrote about, or his report wrote about the funding sources, and some of them were mentioned here. All of these different groups have funding from several or one, or most of them have several, and it's the same funders, right? So it's Mellon, it's Ascendium, Sunshine Lady, Laughing Gull. Those are 4 common ones that are funding several of these efforts. They're very interested in statewide initiatives, especially Ascendium and Mellon. And Sunshine Lady is going to kind of close down their operation in a few years, so they're not going to probably take on new initiatives. And Laughing Gull has kind of said, we've tried to get funding from Laughing Gull, but they fund southern states and don't include Maryland in their area where they fund. But anyway, that's what we often see is there's the same funders are funding these groups.
And I recently spoke to Molly Lasagna at Ascendium about basically the way that they work is they talk to different states and different directors and different organizations, and they kind of figure out what is the needs in the fields, and then in the field, and then decide from there what would be the best thing to fund. For instance, I've recently been talking to her about Ascendium possibly funding post-secondary and specifically technology education, like funding some sort of grant to help support technology behind the fence for education. So that is in process right now, but for some of them you got to reach out yourself and do it. So the college just has to make that effort. Other ones you got to look for the grant to be posted and the NOFA and stuff. But yeah, one good thing about Ascendium, if that they're happy to just talk to you, and then if they're able to fund it, they can. And then is your mic back on, Meredith? I don't know. Maybe Ramika's is. You guys got that grant for the trailers from who?
That was can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. That was a federal earmark.
Oh,
so
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, just different types of funding, right? Like to be able to try to tap into.
Christian and then Zakia.
Thanks. First, I just want to give a shout out to Jamel. Great presentation. Just comments on a comment question. What stood out to me was definitely I got a little hope, like okay, at least in New York, they're allowing those funds to be used for in-state tuition for our incarcerated individuals. So maybe we could do the same in Maryland. I'd be curious how they did that. Like, did it kind of fly on the radar? Was it part of a bigger package? And so I'd be curious how they did that. And then second, yeah, I do appreciate the look at the different funding the different models. I guess as part of the committee, the more y'all kind of queue up, like what are the upcoming decisions for us, right? Or what you want us to weigh on, like kind of options in this reign, right? That'd be great. But again, thanks again, Jamel. Great presentation.
Yeah, and I think Ainsley might be able to answer some of the questions about New York State tuition, because we're going to talk about that next. We don't have much time, but we're going to get to that. Zakia, I think you have your hand up, and then Steve.
Yeah, mine may just be quick. So with all of the great information that was offered in the presentation, and Pennsylvania, South Carolina, we know the states, has this consortium or the commission made any connections to folks in those states yet? Or is that something that is hopefully on the horizon?
Yeah, so Ainsley, Steve, and I think Danielle and maybe Judy's in those meetings, we've been talking about inviting, I think we're going to invite SUNY perhaps next month if they're available. We haven't talked about who else, but I know SUNY is a real interest.
Yeah.
So I believe we might invite them soon. And once we do that, Zakia will also let you know if you want to join that, because I know we've all kind of talked to SUNY informally, formally. I think Zakia, you guys might have.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Danielle is in touch with them, but we might have them next month. I'm hoping, so we'll keep you in the loop on that. Yeah, and I actually think we should maybe bring in Tennessee as well. They seem to be kind of leading in the nation in this work too. Steve?
Just a piece of information. TAP was being used in New York. I remember going to New York conferences years ago. There were just all kinds of college people there. And then when Pell got eliminated, so the TAP, many states who had been giving state funds dropped out. Ohio has continued all the way through. There's a couple states that always continue doing some state funding. Maryland never has, and that's so. I would just suggest that we find as many states that do use state funding to tell that to legislators here in Maryland that this is not something unique, that they're actually way behind this thing here, and they got to catch up.
Great. And if we can, since we only have 11 minutes left, we're going to shift into that conversation. Ainsley has examples of states. But Danielle, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, do you want, I could reach out to NCHAP, to VED, to see if he would be interested in coming and speaking too.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah,
that would be great. Thank you.
Just for, that's the national, the Alliance for Higher Education. NCHAP's just the copper thing. But Ved Price, he's the executive director of the Alliance for Higher Education, which is the national organization that kind of oversees So I will reach out to him to see if, you guys have any questions, they can answer.
Yeah, and Danielle, I think we meet August 13th, a small group of us. So let's talk about like what that could look like. Yeah, great idea. Okay, so thank you, Jamel. Really appreciate it. This is good. It's just a start of the conversation. So this was a good starting point, and we are going to pass it to Ainsley to talk a little bit about state funding models, specifically around tuition, I believe.
Yes. So we talked a little bit, thank you, Jamel, about things that we can do that don't require legislation. This all requires legislation. So a lot of the states are similar to us in the way that incarcerated students are not specifically not allowed to access state funding, but they have the same hurdles that we're having, that like they're not technically not allowed to access state funding, but there still are barriers. So this is a couple of examples of states that specifically do allow incarcerated students to access state financial aid. There's a couple different ways that they do it. So Michigan, for example, had an explicit ban for incarcerated students from accessing state aid. So in 2019, they took that out. New Jersey and New York and Minnesota also added specific language within their state financial aid legislation to specifically say that incarcerated students can access state aid. So we were talking about New York, the tuition assistance program. They tried in 2014 to get that eligibility in language in there. It didn't succeed, but luckily in 2022, they were able to pass legislation that did add that language to the tuition assistance program. And as Jamel was talking about, the City University of New York system does have a tuition waiver for incarcerated students, which is, I know that that's an option that this commission is really looking into recommending, is having that tuition waiver. Texas has a unique program where they have the post-secondary reimbursement program. So it's a zero interest loan that can be repaid as a condition of parole. In California, I wasn't able to find them ever not having specific language in their tuition assistance program for state financial aid. And then Washington, the way that they did their state financial aid is they just said that all of the post-secondary programs the Department of Corrections connects with and operates with are eligible for state aid. They don't have any language about incarcerated students. They just added those programs onto, if you're in this program, you can access student aid. So the highlights for all of this is, like we said, there's different ways of doing it. Some people strike the incarcerated student language. Some people add specific language that say that students can access state aid. Some do tuition waivers. Some do reimbursement programs. But the high level thing is all of this requires legislation.
California also, oh, never mind. Community college. They can go there for free. Yep, that's free.
And then there's a couple of states that also have specific line items for post-secondary education programming. Like Danielle said, in 2014, California allowed community colleges to start receiving funding for post-secondary education programs. And from 2014 to 2021, because community colleges were able to start having that funding, their post-secondary enrollment 5 times quintupled because of the access to that funding. And in 2021, they also did something very unique where their law requires the Department of Corrections to provide post-secondary education in all prisons. I haven't been able to find if there's any effect of that legislation, but I am imagining, if the state requires you to have post-secondary education in all prisons, there's a pretty good argument for having the state, provide more funding so the Department of Corrections is able to do that. In New York in 2017, as part of a larger Justice Reinvestment Act, legislation, they had $7 million earmarked to go from civil asset forfeitures to fund higher education programs to start up for 5 years. So that's how they got a lot of their higher education and prison programming running. Texas, I wasn't able to find a date for this. This is just information that we got from our interview with the Texas state directors. They have startup funds for post-secondary education programs through their school district that provides all of the correctional education. And then Washington recently in 2024, they have a corrections education grant that they give out to community colleges who are looking to start a or looking to provide students or provide services to incarcerated students. But once again, all of this required legislation to pass, except for Texas. I couldn't find any information on that.
Ainsley, this is great. Can you share those slides?
Yes, this is going to be in the Dropbox.
Texas was done through the state and state funds to the school district. So Wyndham is a school district that was basically created just for corrections system. So they only do the corrections. And then they just recently took over the post-secondary from the Department of Corrections. Again, they had it, then it left, and now it's back again. And when they did that, that's when they asked for the earmark in the state funds to be able to pay for support for post-secondary. Now, it doesn't pay everything, but it helps, support those programs. Yep.
Steve and Christian have hands up. Steve first.
I'm sorry. Texas Wyndham, by the way, has been around for ages. I mean, Wyndham School District. So it's been a great model. Also Ohio, I know Ainsley. I just know from Ohio, having experience there, that they threatened to get rid of it in the early '90s when Pell Grants were being eliminated, but they've kept a certain level of post-secondary funding over the years. And Ashland University is one of the bigger universities doing this stuff for a long time. It's a nonprofit university, private. I shouldn't say nonprofit, private university that's been doing prison work for a long, long time.
Thank you, Christian.
Yeah, great presentation. I was really fascinated by the Texas model where it's like a no interest loan. To me, it seems like we want to give you the money, but we can't politically. So we're doing it in a way to make it work. Because, if there's no interest loan, why am I going to pay it back? Not saying people aren't inclined to, but you know what I'm saying. So I'm wondering, is that something we should think about looking to in this kind of fiscally challenging space? And I'm also curious, like, how does it show up on, like, in Texas budget? Like, is it showing as like money, or is it just kind of off the books? Like, I don't understand that stuff, but I'd be curious how that all works, because it seems like it could be like a cheap way, depending on the counting, to get the thing done without giving money away.
It's state funds that go to the school district to support. And then I believe they also have something for the community colleges too that is recently just started. I'll have to ask about that, but some of it's like California, that's state funding, state financial aid eligibility. They have free community college for incarcerated, so you can get your 8A degree for free, but then use Pell for the rest of your bachelor's degree. I believe Ohio has free community college for incarcerated too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just all based on, some of it's legislative, like Ainsley said. Some of it is just put into their actual state general funding. They request it through the budget every year. Some of it was passes legislation, so they have to do it, right? Have to include it in the state budget. So I know we've been talking with MHEC about doing for about 2 years now, and it just doesn't seem to be. MHEC has to be the one to do the COMAR change. So because our COMAR doesn't say that incarcerated can access state financial aid, but it doesn't say they can't, we have to put language in there that says they can. So meaning that they can go into, what is that called? MSAPs or I don't know. It's the application, Andrea, where you go in to apply for the state aid, the Maryland aid.
MD caps, I think.
Yeah, MD caps. That's it. So they have to do that so that the incarcerated person has approval to go in there and actually apply. And then when they look into them, right? They're going to see they're incarcerated. So then they have to have that in COMAR saying that they qualify. So
is it? Yeah. So they're kind of like there's like a fund, let's say 100K, and it pulls the zero interest loan. They got to pull from that, or
no. So if it's state federal financial aid, so it would be the same pot that anybody in the community would apply for state financial aid. So that's another thing. That's why there's a lot of conversations going on. Yeah, because if the problem is the community kind of got, if they get wind of that and they're like, well, wait a second, you're taking away money for incarcerated who are getting free Pell Grants. And now you're taking away from my person in the community who apply for this, who doesn't get free Pell Grants. And now that pot is now shrinking for people, for students in the community. So that's why there's a lot of conversations kind of going on around that. And because it has to be legislative, it's at that level, right? There's a lot of concern. Yeah.
Yeah, not understand that, and I appreciate it. I'm sorry, Judith. I see your head. I was going to say that. Yeah, I was thinking though, perhaps if we propose it as this interest thing, right? Maybe that'll be an easier lift for MHEC or something like that. You know, I'm just thinking out
What do you
loud
mean
of
by
how.
interest? Oh, we would not want to do loan. No.
Okay,
no.
not at all. Okay.
I do not want to. Our students, I do not want to ever have where they have to get out and then they have to pay back school. It needs to be free. Period.
Oh no, I agree with free. I'm just saying if free is not politically possible, can you get something else?
Well, right now we are. I mean, all of our schools offer it's free. Like all 7 of our colleges, the bachelor's degree program, the AA degree program, that they are all offering it for free, completely free for the incarcerated person. The issue is that Pell doesn't cover everything. So that means the college has to cover that gap, right? So that's why we're talking about possibly if they qualify for state financial aid, then that gap gets reduced that the college has to pay.
Right.
But we don't want to have to make them have to do any sort of loan options because we don't want to have.
Well, I hope everybody's talking with Delegate Ampry about this because REAP was really put together by him, and we just happened to talk about the commission together, he and I, one day, and then we got the commission and REAP. And he's probably our leader on this, and I hope that everybody's engaging. Was talking about this with the delegate because I mean I know I'm going to say something because I'm in constant communication with, particularly with the state chief of staff. So want to
Yeah,
make.
I'm not sure if MHEC has reached out or not. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So. But I really appreciate your thoughts on this too, brother. And Ainsley, this is a terrific presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, could I just ask how we where in Dropbox is this? What's the name of the folder? I can't find it in my.
Oh, I'm gonna add it after this. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but it should be in meeting materials and then higher education and then July 31st.
But what's the name of the whole folder that all our stuff is in? Because I that's what I can't find.
Can you just reshare the folder, Ainsley? That might be helpful.
The big folder that has everything in it.
Yeah, you can email it out.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, we are over time, but Ramika has her hand up. I'd like to get to Ramika's comment as the last one or question. So if anyone has to drop off, feel free, but let's keep going with one more question before we end. Ramika? Oh no.
Oh, sorry. I'm
That's
going to
okay.
make it really quick.
Go ahead.
So I have had the privilege of knowing and visiting the program THEI. I think Dr. Laura Ferguson Mims, who is the executive director of THEI, and has an amazing program there that we could bring. She also specifically has a reentry house that I was able to do a site visit to. And Meredith could probably contest to this. I came back raving about the services, the quality of services. So I do think that she is plugged in for sure in that state and could help us navigate and move around some of these barriers that we have. And then the other thing I wanted to just ask Ainsley on the slide, thank you for sharing that, Ainsley. Is extremely helpful to see all the creative ways that these states are getting the work done. But there was a state specifically that had like a $7 million lawsuit asset piece to it. And I wanted to ask, is there a possibility for us to New York, is there a possibility for us to replicate that in our state?
Say that again. Replicate what?
Replicate what's being done in New York in 2017 around the $7 million civil asset, the forfeits of civil assets. is there a possibility? Do we know of people in positions of power that could give us more information around bringing this process to Maryland? And if so, do we have any recommendations of who would be a great person to connect with? Because this seems to be funds that are allocated to a thing. We don't necessarily know how those funds are allocated, but if we could get someone to agree, hopefully our pot of money is $7 million or more. Is there a way to build a relationship with those folks to see if we can get a percentage of money allocated to support higher education in prison?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't even know who.
that was just like a one-time. I don't think it was a donation. I'll have to do some more research into it. So it wasn't continual funding. I believe it was like part of a broader like Justice Reinvestment Act that passed. They said, you know, this much money is going to go towards higher education programs just to get them off the ground.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff, if we took them and then started talking about it, we might find out that, you know, these people are very creative in their states to do these things, and we might find that we have an opportunity for some of this stuff. I don't know. Also, North Carolina has some post-secondary funding things that I know that, I mean, Ainsley, you did a great job with this, but there's some other states that probably, the more we dig, the more we find, you know, so anyway.
And Ainsley, it might be good to get the college's information on the PGIF, the GOCAP PGIF grants, because those are specifically related to prison, you know, education or prison programs and offering prison programs, especially they look at reentry type things. So if no one's familiar with that, it's the performance innovative something.
Yeah. We could definitely get Brandy to come and talk about that for sure.
Yeah, because I just got some for education behind the fence, and that I think you can get up to 500,000 yearly. But if each college, you know, applies for whatever that kind of specific thing it is that they need, then I mean that's 500,000 is 500,000.
Yep. Okay.
Great. Well, thank you all. Zakia, Jamel, Ainsley, thank you all for speaking, presenting, and sharing all this. We will continue to talk about all of these items next month, or we'll hopefully have a guest at our meeting. We'll share that out through email. And, you know, any other questions or concerns, you can just email us on the side and we'll try to respond. But again, thanks everyone. Have a great day. Really appreciate you all.
Thank you.